Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Chris. Welcome to LinuxTechGeek. So in today's video, what I was wanting to do, you guys know that I recently picked up the ZSA Moonlander keyboard, and I've been playing around with it now for a couple weeks, maybe about 3 weeks, and I was wanting to just share my thoughts to you guys about it, and I was also wanting to show you guys the setup that I've kind of been going with, even though I will admit that these things do change from time to time because either I forget that, I forget about a key, or I haven't flashed it in about 7 days, so I'm doing pretty good. But I do know that eventually I probably will flash this thing again. This is a ongoing project that it may never stop, right? So, for those of you who don't know what the ZSA Moonlander is, let me hop on a webpage here, and I was wanting to show you guys the ZSA Moonlander just in case that you guys are not aware the actual keyboard. So this is the ZSA Moonlander keyboard, okay? Pretty much what it is, it's a modular programmable keyboard, all right? So you can program every single button on this things. There's different, they have what's called a layering system on this keyboard, and that's because they don't have that many keys on the actual keyboard. So the way that you get around to having a fully featured keyboard is that you have to switch layers, right? And that, for a while, that's kind of, it took me a while to grasp, right? It actually took me a while to come up with a system, that I could just easily switch to a layer and stuff like that. And I'll show you guys my configuration here in a bit. Now with the ZSA, it's pretty awesome. I do have to admit, this keyboard is, it's pretty amazing. There are a couple of things though with it that's a little weird. First off, getting used to the two halves, right? Getting used to, having two separate pieces, that's a little weird, okay? And also, if you set up your keyboard, like if you set it up the way that I've seen some people set it up, like some people have weird different configurations where they might set up their keyboard where it's almost like this, right? And I'm like, how are they just having their hands kind of like this? And, like imagine typing like this. I couldn't do it, right? Now, I will admit too that the legs on the keyboard, the legs are a little finicky, like especially these, these little arms right here, they are a little finicky. And the thumb clusters are, well, they're just a little weird, and it takes a while to get used to the thumb clusters. I think, in my opinion, the thumb clusters have been the hardest part about learning this keyboard, okay? Now, it may not seem like that because it's just a damn thumb cluster, right? And you just got to move your thumb. But you got to remember, in a standard 110 keyboard or standard keyboard, the only time you really use your thumb is to hit the space bar, right? You don't really hit your thumb that often. On this keyboard, I will admit that you use that thumb cluster. Okay, so you're doing something with your thumb, which means that, you have to build up a little muscle in your thumb. You're also, you're moving it a lot more on this keyboard than you would a standard keyboard. Okay, so that's a little weird to me. That's a little different. Not saying it's bad, but it is a little different. Now, one thing that I do like about this keyboard, and I've seen, trust me when I say that I watch a lot of YouTube about layouts on this, and on this keyboard and how people had their setup. I watched a ton of YouTube. And, what I found that a lot of people actually what they did is they just disconnected the thumb cluster. They disconnected the thumb cluster. They don't even use it. Hell, some people even took off the other buttons because they had too many buttons and they just, switched layers. All right. So that's one way that you could do it. Another thing about this is that having the keyboard kind of propped up, I had it set up pretty well. So my hands were almost kind of sitting like this. Recently, I actually put the keyboard completely flat on my desk. And I have to say, since doing that, it's actually felt a lot better. For my hands. Not saying everyone's hands, for my hands. All right? I don't want anybody to say, well, that's not good. Well, for my setup, or for my hands, it has been pretty good. Okay? Another thing is that I do like how customizable it is. Like, it's cool, It really is pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get over to my Orax, my configuration, and I'll kind of go through it and give you my thought process. So this is my layout. So I have I have 4 layers. All right. So I have my base layer, which is, the base layer is just your standard layer. That's the first layer that you're going to be on. All right. I have a color layer, which again, I have not fixed this yet. Okay. There is some of this stuff that I just haven't gone through, and I'm lazy. Okay. I need to go through it. I need to actually configure this thing properly. The only layers that I've actually messed with is the base layer, and I've added this coding layer. Now, what's this coding layer? Well, as you guys know, I do a bit of programming here and there, and I don't like any weird hand contortion type of stuff. I have small hands, guys. All right, and one of the biggest benefits of using a keyboard like this is that you have layers that you can set different stuff to, right? So you can see on this coding layer, I have programming type of stuff, right? Like I have these brackets, I have the equal sign, right? I have the ampersand sign. I have the squiggly brackets. I have the less than and greater than sign. Programming stuff, right? We use these keys all the time in programming. Now, maybe in everyday typing, we don't use these type of keys, but in programming, we use these keys a lot. And that's one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to have a specific layer set for programming type of stuff. That way, I can just hold down a key and I'm on that programming layer, and I don't have to mess with weird hand contortion stuff, So let's go ahead and look on the base layer, and we'll kind of get into it. So you notice the keys 1 through 5, that's pretty standard, right? And then we have, we have this key up here. We have a tab key. I made a tab specific key because I don't want to use the thumb cluster as my tab. It was weird, guys. It was throwing me off. Like hitting the thumb cluster and hitting that middle key for a tab was just kind of weird. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'd just rather hit the tab with my pinky. So I just moved it over there. All right. You also noticed something I did. We have escape. Yes. So when I tap it, it's escape. When I hold down this key, it switches to that coding layer that I was talking about. This is fantastic. The reason I did this is because I use NeoVim, guys. I use Emacs, right? How many times have you used NeoVim and Emacs and all that stuff, and either if you didn't rebind your caps lock key as your escape key, you would have to hit the top left of your keyboard. I don't want to have to do that. All right, and you notice how damn close this key is to the home row, right? Like you can see my escape key. There's a home row. It's fantastic. And when I hold down that escape key, well, it switches to my coding layer, right? And then, so I hold down that key with my left hand. On the right hand, I've got all my programming stuff, okay? And I also have my programming stuff because sometimes I like to program at nighttime, and it is kind of hard to see which layer that you are on this keyboard if you're not looking at the thing. So what I did is I just set, like, I've got certain colors set. So whenever I hold down that key, my programming key, or my my programming layer, my coding layer, right? My keyboard lights up a different color for these specific keys. So you can see, right? Like this key turns orange, this key turns orange. This one's like purple, okay? These are violet purple. These are green, okay? Bright yellow. And I've just got all kinds of different colors, but I kind of matched them, right? Like this left and right, like greater than and equal than, or greater than and less than, sorry, has the vivid color. All right, these brackets have the green color, and I did stuff kind of like that. All right. Now, next we have a delete and we have a left alt. So when I tap it, it's delete. When I hold it, it becomes left alt. All right, pretty easy, right? And it kind of makes sense inside. Well, it makes sense inside my brain. That's why I did it. So this key is pretty cool. Okay, you may think, what is this? What's this key? I turned this key into a shift and into a left meta button. The meta button is your super key, right? Or your Windows key. All right. I got tired of holding down two keys. So I turned this one key, I turned two keys into one key. All right. So now when I hold down that key, it's actually two keys. I hope that makes sense. All right. So when I hold it down, it turns into shift left meta. And the reason I did that is because I use tiling window managers. A lot of my stuff involves shift and shift and the meta key, right? So it makes sense. Okay, then we just have the standard QWERTY key layout. Next, you can see is on my S key, it's shift. So when I hold down my S key, when I hold it down, when I tap it, it's just an S. But when I hold it down, it's my left shift. So that way, if I need to caps lock something on the right hand side of my keyboard, I'm just holding down that S key. My hands are always on the home row, so it makes sense. The ring finger, hold down, right hand side type of key to capitalize it, right? The D key, it's the D key when I tap it. But when I hold it down, it turns into my left control key. All right? And then for my last couple keys on this side of the keyboard, okay, I have this Z key. All right. So Z, when I tap it, just Z, but when I hold it down, it turns into left meta. Okay. And then of course I got the hyper key right here, which I moved because I physically took off some keys and I moved them around. And I still wanted that hyper key. That's a pretty cool key. I don't know what I'm actually going to do with it yet, but I have it, you know. Next up, we have the 3 over here. So when I tap this, this will go to layer 3, which is the coding layer. When I tap this one, this will go to layer 1, right? And layer 1 is, or color, layer 1 is color 1, which is this layer right here. The layer I haven't done anything with. I haven't done anything with that layer, and I haven't done anything with the media layer or anything. I've done a little bit with the media layer, but I'm going to kind of switch some of this stuff out. All right. So, and then, of course, we have caps lock. Now, the reason I put caps lock all the way over here is just simply because I don't hit caps lock all that much. All right. And since I don't hit it a lot, then I don't need it. I don't need it close to my fingers, right? And another big thing that I did is I put a space, the space bar right here. I turned my space bar into one of those kind of tiny keys on the keyboard. And the reason I did that, like I said earlier, hitting the damn thumb cluster was weird. Like, it's still weird, all right? Like, but hitting it constantly just kind of felt weird using both my thumbs. I don't know if I'm going to, well, I'm not 100% going to go back because I do still use the thumb cluster a little bit, all right? So if you look at my left thumb cluster, okay, I have backspace, right? I have backspace on one of my thumb clusters. I also have equal sign. I can tell you right now, that equal sign is not going to stay there. It's not staying there, but I'll figure that out later, okay? And then, of course, we got the tab key. I'm going to be honest, I never hit this key. I never, ever hit this key. I don't hit this key, and I don't hit my left alt key, all right? I just, nope, I don't hit it. I don't need to, all right? And it's just weird. Right, like it's that big ass red button. I don't need it. I don't. My hands ain't that big, so you know I'm not gonna like do weird hand contortions to hit a button that it's not even really doing anything. All right, so right hand side, we'll start with the hand cluster. Okay, now right hand side, I have escape. Occasionally, I will hit the big red escape key. Okay, occasionally. Now, if I press it, it's escape. If I hold it down, it becomes left control. Occasionally, I will hit that. Only occasionally. All right. And then, of course, we have tab, which I don't hit. And I do hit, you know, I have enter, which I hit all the time. Okay. So, we have the over here I have my minus key or underscore, depending on if you're holding down a shift modifier. Okay, if I tap this one, this will take me to layer 2, which is the media layer. And you notice something I also do. I have all of my other layers, right? I have it for a way where they change color. They change color depending on if I'm on that layer, except this layer. This layer doesn't do anything. But this layer, you can see, this layer is green. So whenever I switch layers, my keyboard will light up green. This visually tells me that, hey, I accidentally hit the wrong damn button. I'm in my media layer, right? whenever I'm in my coding layer, nothing else lights up except these buttons right here. Okay, which visually again tells me that, you know, I'm in that that layer. Okay, so we have the Med key. Med is just Alt Shift and Control. Again, haven't done anything with this key. I don't know what I'm going to do with that key or the hyper key, but I'm going to keep them around because, let's be real, it's a pretty cool key. But I mean, you could probably do some cool things with one of those keys, right? I can figure out something. All right. So then we just have the 6 through 0, and then I have another backspace. Again, I put the backspace here thinking, when I did this, I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to retrain my brain and we're going to use the backspace the way that a backspace is typically used. Top right. No, I don't use it like that anymore. In fact, I haven't. I've been just using the thumb cluster. So I don't know what I'm going to do right there. All right. So we got the, you know, we got Y through P, pretty normal. Okay. Now, I moved the single quote. The single quote used to be like right, I think it used to be right here. And the problem was that was too close to my my shift key. Okay. So now, because I wanted a space, you know, so I could do something like that and hit my my double quote. I don't know if I'm eventually going to like redo that key or move it or anything like that. I haven't thought much about it. And then we got H, J, and then we got K. And if you look, when I hold down my K, when I tap it, it's K. When I hold it down, it's my right control. So you kind of get a feeling like I kind of did something similar on the left-hand side, right? Like that was kind of my thought process a little bit. And then we have left Alt if I hold down L, okay? And then I can also switch to layer 3 if I hold down my my semicolon. Okay? In hindsight, I think the reason I did that is because I thought I was going to do something on the left-hand cluster over here. I haven't done anything yet. So in hindsight, it's really not doing a whole lot because all my programming keys are on the right-hand cluster. Okay? So that's something. That's something I'm going to have to kind of fix. Okay? And then again, I have a right meta key because, you know, you need a couple meta keys, right? And then if I tap it, it's a backslash. If I hold it, it's left meta. And then below that, I have my right shift. All right. Need my shift modifiers. And then I have another one of those shift right meta keys, right? So I have that shift, that right meta on both kind of sides of the keyboard. So with that, I'm pretty much able to do any kind of like, you know, if I need to close a window, it's, you know, I can hold down one or the other. I mean, I don't have to do any kind of like weird hand stuff. And that's kind of been helping. All right. I think that is about it, though, really, in this video. I mean, I moved these arrows around. Now, like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot more with this like setup, and hopefully I make another video. I'm probably not going to make a video for a while on it. I don't want to bore you guys to death about my damn keyboard layout, okay? But I did want to give you guys like, you know, I did want to tell you guys that, hey, you know, I have done some things and I'm still using it, okay? And it's going pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad I didn't make the purchase because my hands feel better. So the next time I probably do a video on the actual keyboard, I might do a 6-month sort of review kind of video, or a year, a year review on this keyboard, but not gonna bore you guys to death. All right, if you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, or anything like that, or if if you like my layout and you want to get some more information about it, you can leave me a message down leave me a message down below, and I'll get back to you guys. But until next time, you guys take care, be safe, peace.